How come we get in trouble for liking jokes?
I would have never thought anyone would have gotten in trouble for things that make you laugh or that should make you laugh or that you shouldn't take so seriously.
I had a clue well, not a few years ago. It was almost about 10 years ago. I was watching a couple of YouTube videos that were supposed to be funny. At least I thought they were funny. I mean, they weren't comedy. It's like real life situations of people doing stupid crap. And whatever, we all have different senses of humor. Some people love horror. That's not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, but I like jokes. I don't sit there and just criticize someone for liking really vile movies like Saw, remember? Ugh. Or
Oh,
the ones
yeah.
about
Those were
like,
traumatizing.
or Hostel. This is sort of like why I always get perplexed when people get so upset about people laughing at a joke when in mainstream society, what's coming at us from all points of view is so vile.
And extreme. And yet
Hmm.
you have the freedom to enjoy those different, expressions of it. And we do, right? For the most part, all around the world. As it should be, for the most part. I don't know, mi gente. I never would have thought, and I'm sure the old comedians from back in the day must be rolling in their graves.
I was like, when did we create such a sensitive population?
It's like, what happened to the peoples?
I
Why
don't like
aren't
the
the
way my
peoples
hat is
laughing?
fitting.
Why not?
I gotta make it look cute.
Oh, because you wanted to say to be viewed very clearly, make comedy funny.
Well, that would work your theory if I was gonna stay
Like this the
looking
whole time.
at, I don't know why there's nobody over there, maybe ghosts or aliens or UFOs or drones. These days you don't never know what you're gonna
You'll
find.
be like the mannequin.
And but in a way it's like people want you to sort of be like a mannequin, but only to things que te convienen. Like
Mm,
yeah, be okay with all the depravity on TV,
Anti-B.
but don't like jokes. Okay, so about 10 years ago, I got in trouble watching some YouTubes with a couple of work friends, and I started chuckling because I don't know, I think it was some activist being ridiculous, and I thought it was ridiculous. So I was like, ha ha ha. Ha. And the person looked at me, was like, wow, Rose Angel, that wasn't even funny. That was I didn't even know you were racist like that.
Oh my gosh.
And then another time I laughed at another joke, and just because I laughed, again, the person implicated that there was a racist undertone.
It was already coming up as like the reason.
Mira, pick up your hat because I can't see your cute little eyes. And
You
you
could
got
see
cute
my
little
eye, but
eyes.
then I want my messaging to be clear.
Where are these hats from?
Yo
You know,
quiero
first of all, we have to shout out where we got these hats from.
shout him out.
Shout him
Ra, shout
out.
him out. Dile. Dile a la gente.
Okay, if you want an adorable hat like this, like the one we're wearing, make comedy funny again, go to Tyler Fishcer's page. He is selling them. You could go on his Instagram profile. He is a New York based comedian. I believe he also lives in Texas now too, but he is also part Brooklyn. And
Ooh,
there are
ooh.
many layers as to why we're wearing this hat and shouting out Tyler Fishcer. We love his comedy. It's really bold. So if you're going to watch,
Be warned.
we warned you. But listen, we've always been very transparent because if you visit our Cafecito Break page, it says something like arts and entertainment, but also specifically says we like we like laughter, wisdom, memes. You know, like we're telling you like, and what's a meme? A meme is pretty much letting you know that it could be politically incorrect. But if you know us, if you know the foundation of our work,
Mm-hmm. And
then
of us
you
individually.
understand that even within some of the crassness, there's a point. There's a point that maybe needs to be made. And maybe it's that crassness through jokes that penetrate this ridiculous, chaotic algorithm that we find ourselves in. And this is why I'm spotlighting, I don't want to speak for my sister, Tyler Fishcer.
I'm spotlighting him too.
I've told him, but
Okay.
now you could tell him too. I've told him he's one of our favorite comedians.
Tyler, you are also one of my favorite comedians. So I spoke for myself. See?
Tell me what about Tyler's comedy you appreciate.
Well, I personally am the type of person that I love comedy that is crass. I love that it
You're so naughty.
Yes, I love that. I love when
Ugh.
comedy can pack a punch, not because from the perspective of let's make fun of everything, but I do feel
And
that
he makes fun
sometimes
of everything,
he does. He's an equal opportunity.
making fun of everybody,
Mhm.
even the Ricans.
All of us.
We all of us.
All of us. But I love when comedy, sometimes within a joke or something that's really crass, even with memes, right? But a real point can be made or a real truth can be highlighted. And mi gente, whether you like to admit it or not, even some healing can be had because laughter isn't one of the most healing components. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, just laughing, it's not because you think if they're making fun of us or something that's emotional to you and you laugh on it, it may not always be truly because you're looking at it as that's funny and I think it's a little thing. No, it's like your body's releasing. It's just saying, oh my God, it's a way of decluttering your body in a capacity. And I love that comedy provides that to all of us in different ways. Sometimes it's just we're having fun, sometimes a little healing through
It's
the
criminal to be
laughter.
having fun these days.
And always, 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 I think for both of us, I'm going to speak for my sister a little
Ew.
bit.
You can't be speaking from my mouth.
I'm going to speak for her a little bit when I say that, you know we really do not agree with cancel culture, and we do not like that and do not feel that comedians should be have to go through so much censorship. I mean, the point about comedians always has been that they've always sort of stood in this, in between space where they can go into all these lines and these worlds. And I feel like they've always held an important position within society to do that. I mean, if you go in the beginning, there's so many examples of it all over the world since the beginning of man. I mean,
Hmm.
comedy
And
has
kings and
kings and
queens,
queens. They always had so
their gestures.
right. There's that has always existed. There's always been a place in society for people like that, and they always played a very important role, not just performance, not
Hmm.
just laughter. So sometimes you got to look a little deeper into something. And above all, mi gente, don't take everything too seriously.
Bunch.
Unbunch. Hashtag unbunch, mi
Bunch.
gente. Life is too much sometimes.
Being so apretado down there is
Mm,
not healthy. Trust me.
not
I've
healthy
been
in any
learning to
way.
unbunch all of my years.
Gotta like
This, what do you
release.
think? God brought me this one into my life to help me unbunch and
Release.
relax. Every single time I was having a little Aries tantrum, my sister would be like, such a beautiful day. Look at the sun, the ground. And when I was having an unbelievable tantrum, she would say, go to the rock and ground. And
I would send her.
I would be obedient. I would go to the rock and ground,
And she
and
would
then
ground.
I would come back, and they were like, "Where were you?" I was like, "I was having a little attitude." My
Mhm,
sister told me I wasn't being, effective in the environment, and that perhaps I needed to take a little time out. And you know
mhm.
what? That's not always a bad thing. Like, we needed to take a time out from the community once we had a little interview that went viral simply because we shared the following words: we like jokes. Oh my gosh, so
How did we
dramatic.
dare
So
say something so
dramatic.
vile?
These days, when you live in New York and you
Mm-mm-mm.
see people getting killed and stabbed and burned, and then you see all these depravities, like a couple who just got punished 100 years for the depravitous things that they were doing with their adopted sons, and then you compare that to someone who is getting in trouble for making jokes. Like Tyler Fishcer has been banned from Delta Airlines for life.
Like, why would a
Because
business institute do that?
not because I don't think it was because he was I don't think he ever did anything wrong on Delta Airlines. I think that he just made a joke and it got back to. This is how
Very backwards.
backwards people have lost their livelihoods for making jokes,
Hmm. Being canceled.
being canceled, having like if they had um like a venue that we're performing at, maybe through cancel culture they lost opportunities. Tyler has been an example of that. And you
Hmm.
know us, we've talked to you about cancel culture. It's only now that people are catching up to the harms of cancel culture, like when we were giggling the other day and we welcomed Eric Adams into the cancel culture club where he was, well, would cancel me.
Welcome, Mayor Adams.
Dios mío.
Yes, it was some interesting times this year around censorship, comedy, and getting in trouble or
For
canceled
laughter.
for the simplest things, because it's like, to your
To me
point,
there's a
when
there's
you
a
compare
cruelty
it,
in that to
you're
me there's
like,
such a cruelty upside downness to it all.
this just doesn't make sense.
And then the other thing is, no sea tan metiche. Why are you so upset that somebody's laughing? Why are you
Hmm.
spending so much of your beautiful energy trying to figure out what that laughter meant?
Or trying to stop someone from laughing.
Yeah,
Like, why?
yeah.
Like, why? If you are all,
That's
you all
cruel.
have your individual lives.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that in that, I don't know, for whatever reason, but in the age of technology, people have forgotten that they can look away,
You
turn
can
off the page, keep
open it there.
scrolling, look at something else. Like, there's actually a lot of options. So when you see or hear something that's not for you, because you know what, we don't always resonate with stuff we see or hear. That's reality. Welcome to the world, right? But you still have a choice. You don't have to swallow it in, and then on top of it, feel like now I have to make it my business to let you know how you made me feel because you were having a fun time.
God forbid you had so much fun. Hey, hey, who knew that so much controversy would erupt around even another community comedian that I really like. That's to be discussed later. But I wanted to get back to a point that you mentioned when you were like the release part.
Mm-hmm.
Because people, isn't it a thing? Sister, help me out here. Is
I'm gonna
this a
help you out.
thing?
I'm gonna help you out
Don't people laugh at the most awkward moments?
all the time.
Don't we see people laugh at funerals? Haven't
Mm-hmm.
we seen people laugh at the most craziest events? We see
Mm-hmm.
people like we've seen some of the commentators giggling over the last person
Yeah.
who took down the CEO, like nonstop giggling, like it looks weird. So we could sit there, judge it, or we could be like, observe it and keep on going.
Right. Because the other thing too is that some people really laugh as a defense mechanism too.
Yeah.
So that's the way they
A
cope with
coping, yeah.
something. A lot of anxiety, a lot, our bodies find different ways of coping and release. And again, laughter is releasing. Like, I'll share a random little story about, my sister plays the bells, Tibetan bells, and she used to hold beautiful sessions, and we would in a dark candlelit room years ago.
Welcome to my candlelight
Oh, I used to
experience.
love it. So I decided to join in on one of these evenings. And normally when you enter these Tibetan bell sessions, everyone's quiet.
It's ultimate silence.
Everyone gets lost in their world because the bells are going to be doing a lot of healing and shifting and releasing mind, body, soul. But for whatever reason, my body had other plans. And the moment she started, I couldn't stop laughing. Like, it was, mi gente, laugh out loud. I could not, when you cannot control, it's like my body physically, to whatever these bells were lifting from me, moving within my body, it would not allow me to stop laughing, like, loud. Like, it wasn't
It
even
was
like
loud. It was like, imagine you're supposed to be in a holy, quiet.
like headspace.
I mean, It was I did a great
She did
setup.
a great job because normally if her and I would look at each other, maybe we could trigger each other, but she kept her cool. And I'm talking
But
about I'm
I'm a
laughing out loud and falling
so
back.
I'm gonna give you my experience. So from the teacher's experience, I have the estudiantes, in which my sister was one of them. Everyone, take a little spot, grab your yoga mat, lay down, relax, take a
And I
deep breath
entered
in.
like that.
And she did really quietly, unfolded her mat really quietly. There were other students there too. Everybody was just breathing, feeling good. And there was like, dong, dong. And all of a sudden you hear laughter. And it was puzzling to me because I was, for a
You're like,
second,
what is that?
I'm like, did I time jump? Am I in a laughter yoga class right now?
Happened?
And I was there probably looking like Kermit the Frog, looked like puzzled.
What are you doing?
Was well, I no, I that was not the question that I was asking me. I was like, what's happening? That was really, I was really puzzled. I was like, I don't know what's going on with my sister.
All I know is that I could not, it was like I have never experienced something to that point. Like I could not control. And then finally what happened is, I mean, obviously at the beginning, my instinct was, well, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. Everybody's in quiet mode. I'm interrupting. I'm going through all these things. I'm trying. And then I realized my body had taken over. I'm clearly releasing something, and I just had to go with it. So that's what I did. So I basically laughed for most of that session.
She really did.
Like I could not, I
She,
mean,
every single time I rang the bell, she kept laughing harder.
it was
I
just
didn't even
like
have to say a joke.
it was just like it went deeper and deeper every time, and my stomach just got more tickled and tickled every time. And I honestly don't know how she kept zen and focused, and also the others, because the others also sort of were in their world and my body. So we share this to say to you that laughter is medicine, like literally. you
Laughter
know
is medicine, and also too, in that's a great example because first of all, like the role of someone in my shoes is to hold that space. And part of holding that space is not judging it.
hmm
And that also, to be fair, comes with doing it time. Like
gotta build the
you
muscle.
got to
It
build the
doesn't happen
muscle. Like
overnight.
I know that
Yeah.
some of you know this
Yeah.
part about me, but some of you don't because cancel culture and just the last X amount of years has displaced many of our lives.
hmm
So this, up until 2020, was a constant in my life. I was constantly freelancing, constantly sharing it's Tibetan sound bowl meditation with people, or laughter yoga, or movement and laughter together. Those were my constants. I was doing
hmm
retreats. We did it. We offered it in nonprofits. I even did shared laughter yoga with who's now Brooklyn Borough President, Antonio Reynoso. He invited me for a retreat laughter yoga experience to share with his office when he was a council member. So when we tell you through stories that there are things that we've been a part of, connected, we're not saying it from just to talk. It's really like we've built and fortified relationships. And it has been
hmm
through those settings that you start getting clues as to what may come up in the future. So 10 years ago, I started getting a clue that, oh, maybe the way we use language is going to start getting just a little crazy. And
hmm
it's been like that. Like we've had to battle through um, folks wanting to call us Latin X. I don't mean
Thumbs down
that
to
was
me.
probably, it's almost like it's one of those things where I wish I could have popped up in that little session, like a little pop-up. It's like, guys, let me save you millions and millions or billions of dollars and tell you that that's never going to work. Oh, but we need to move forward into being a more inclusive community where everybody is included, because we just don't have one or two. There's mucho, mucho, mucho. And was there ever a thought that trying to impose this to the Latinos, a Spanish speaking community in which the Spanish language is masculine and feminine, how is that going to work? That doesn't even make sense.
It
That's
didn't
almost
work.
like an intention to even change the foundational language of people who communicate globally. It's just inside a little bubble kind of thinking that doesn't work for everybody. And another thing that doesn't work for everybody in this other little bubble is like, oh no, we can't have those brown girls be okay that a white person made some jokes about brown and black people.
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare
How dare you?
you?
How dare you?
Meanwhile, to be honest, I was just
So
listening to the
funny.
joke. I mean, that's kind of how I
Just
when I'm
listening.
listening to jokes. And some I like,
And some we don't
and there's
like.
some that I'm like, wasn't funny, or the delivery sucked, or maybe I thought it was poor in poor taste. I have those opinions too. It happens, and yet I'll still just laugh. I'm not gonna always look for a labeling. Like we've become so label branding obsessed. Like we gotta give everybody a context. You're racist.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
are biased.
eh,
You are, there has to be something. You gotta be something. That's like it really is becomes so extreme. It's comical. It has become comical.
well, I also want to shout out some of the other gents, right,
Hmm.
that remind me of this message. I mean, this hat, Tyler Fishcer, go support, make comedy funny again, his
Ooh, ooh,
message.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
Support him as an independent community comedian who's been cancel cultured.
Mhm.
Now, there are others in when I think about the last 10 years, whether or not you agree with their comedy, I don't necessarily always agree with their comedy. Sometimes I disagree less with it, but I'm okay with them being in the space, right? And we talk privately, like we don't like when comedians, for example, there's a comedian out there that's in the conservative space, and sometimes we'll just sexualize in a way, or just reduce politicians, to be more accurate in my statement, to just body parts. And I don't like that. I feel like, but I could not like it as a human being, and then just be okay that that person has the freedom of speech. Oh, Caesar, you don't like those jokes? What's the solution? Change it. That's it.
Simple.
It's so simple. Like I say.
And you also don't have to participate in it. Like if you
Mm-hmm.
really feel so upset about something, not only do you not or you do have the choice not to watch it, but you don't even have to talk about it ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So don't energize it. Like something's really bugging you. It's really pulling at your strings in some capacity. Okay, honor that. Then don't even talk about it, because every time that you bring it up, talk about it, or become a keyboard warrior, what you're doing is energizing it. It's like you're doing the total opposite of everything you're saying. So that's
Yeah.
confusing to me too when that happens.
And then here's there's so many reasons. Maybe we should do a top 10 reasons why we appreciate comedians. I don't know, we do it now off the cuff.
Let's do it.
Really? Okay. Top 10 reasons why the Perez sisters appreciate comedians. Number 1, edgy truth tellers.
Hmm. Number two, just a good old fashioned belly laugh.
I okay, number 3, different perspectives.
That's a really good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the only time you hear another perspective is when you're hearing a comedy, you know? Yeah, no, that's true. Seeing it from different walks of life.
So is that number 4?
Okay, so different perspectives. I mean, three. I mean, I was gonna say, seeing it from seeing stuff from different walks of life, but I guess that's in the end similar to
That's the same
different
thing.
perspectives. So I guess I can't
So
use
is
that
that
one.
number 4?
That's number three. You
We
said
didn't
number
get to
3.
number 4?
No, you said number 3. And so what I was gonna say as number 4, we'll throw it in number 3.
Oh,
Different
okay.
perspectives, different
So
walks
you
of
gotta give
life.
me another one. Come on.
Okay.
Do, 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 do. 10 reasons why we appreciate comedians.
I really appreciate, like I said earlier, that they are people that should always kind of stand, in those, like, they can be outside of the normal conversations and parameters. Like they've always been in these platforms, not because there's a hierarchy and they're better, but because they can and should have some freedoms to be able to call out stuff we
But
don't
is
really
that
have
like an
access to.
observation point or is that an appreciation point?
I appreciate that.
Okay, that they
I
can that a comedian could be in that place.
Yes,
Okay, I
and
make that makes
I feel
sense.
like that's the way they've always been. I feel like since you even said with kings and queens, you know, there's always been a place in society for these people that help particular vibrations, and I appreciate that.
That's number 4. Number 5. I appreciate a comedian's boldness.
Mm-hmm.
There are times, there are things such as the person who promotes these hats, Tyler Fishcer. He says things, as much as we are canceled by our own community, we probably say 0.5% of the things that he
Nothing
has
said.
moved through his expression journey, and he can say them with this freedom. And I think that's one of the blessings of facing so much backlash and harshness is also you'll get fortified and tested. So I guess maybe that's is am I saying number 4? That's number 4. Is that my number 4?
Yeah. So 4 you said is boldness.
Boldness. And with that boldness, it chisels, like as we've seen him, it's chiseled him to just be even more confident in his expression. And not only that,
Excuse me.
but being such an example in times where the world is against you. So it's kind of weird. Like we've always seen comedians have always gotten in trouble, but the way people are comedians are getting in trouble in the last few years, some of it is just ridiculous.
It's
we
just
like
another form of
we
control.
spend so much time, right? So when you have someone that could be bold and smart enough to wave um with their wordplay how to communicate, they become better communicators. So then being bold and being a better communicator in however it is that they're using their expression. So that's number 5.
So maybe it's 5 and 6.
No, that was I was
You
saying 4 and 5.
Okay.
We
Well,
did this is on the fly, community members.
we've even forgetting our count here. It's
So
like a
we're
little
up to number
crazy.
6.
Well, not all comedians do this, but I appreciate that when comedians are doing their act. I appreciate when they also do accompany that with other expressions. For example, physical. Some comedians will use their body as a vehicle of expression.
Mhm.
And I really love that because, again, we are made up of different senses. We
Mhm.
receive information in different ways all the time. And so when you're hearing all these great things and also visually seeing it, it just elevates and amplifies the whole experience. So I really love that when I see comedians do that. Obviously, not all of them do that. That's fine too.
Mhm. So that's number 6.
Mhm.
Number 7, something that I appreciate about comedians is I love when comedians do parodies. I
Mm,
appreciate that. Some of them are so stellar because again, that is another expression within the landscape of comedy, that parodies is another way that people can receive those messages. So I like that when comedians do parodies.
that's true. I love that. Um, I was gonna say that I really love when it feels like society's having a hard time talking to each other, but then a comedian will just sort of be that voice. And maybe that goes on to what you said 4 and 5 about communication. Maybe it adds another element. But if you really think about it, fam, sometimes comedians are the only ones voicing, therefore expressing and releasing what so many of us carry.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, how many of us in all of these incredibly polarized areas that we've lived through, even just in the last few years, how many of us have felt this? I can't speak, I can't voice. And it's really only been some of those bold, like you said,
Comedians.
comedians that have touched on some of these areas, and not only were creating comedy, not only were pushing the buttons, not only but they were putting certain topics out there that regular society folks were feeling so scared to do. And so I don't know, like I said, that may be piggybacking off of 4 or 5, but I still feel like it deserves a whole other thing, because
What number are we up to?
we would have been up to 9, because that would have been an 8
We
if we
have to
sort of
do
keep
this
it.
math again. I thought we were up to number 7.
No, you did 7.
No, I did 4 and 5.
Didn't you see me hold up 7, because you were like 7, and then I did 8, so 8ish, unless it piggybacks off the other
I
ones.
don't know, community
9.
members.
We're
I
up to
feel like we're
9.
at 7.
No, we're not. We'll rewind later and get it together.
We'll rewind, but let's do 3 more.
We just need 2 more.
2, 3 more. Maybe a cherry on top. We'll see whose count it was because I don't know. But something that I appreciate about comedians is that they can convey a truth that can land within the right timing of the ears that are around with you, witnessing it, that maybe you would love to say you can't. So not only are they interpreting what can't be said, but they're also helping you communicate it. And many times they become conversation openers for you. And hopefully it's a healthy conversation and not a fight, because that does happen too, right? Because they,
Yeah.
comedians, depending on who it is, some of them are more crass, some of them point out harsh truths about realities that society just doesn't want to look or see or even contemplate. But those conversations can spark real world conversations. Dios mío! And hopefully, maybe lead to
Okay. Yeah. They agree.
an understanding, a revelation, an awakening of sorts.
Yes. And so I'm gonna piggyback on that. It's gonna be like a different element piggybacking. Because what I love about comedians as well is that comedians can be true medicine people. And when you understand because these are the worlds we've always
Mhm.
been a part of as well. When you understand true medicine people, you know that when they communicate, they're actually reaching people at different levels of the path. So you know how when someone says something and maybe you're going to understand it at this point, and then somebody's going to interpret it at a deeper level, so even though it's comedy and it's supposed to laugh, it will hit people still according to the point at which they can interpret, according to their point of awareness, kind of like a true medicine person. So it sort of can be all inclusive. Everyone can laugh. And sometimes there's going to be those that can really go a little deeper with certain meanings, because some comedians, that's how they work. They encode a lot of levels within their whole chat.
Yeah, and let's not forget, for those familiar with that type of terminology, that uh, there is a place for trickster medicine.
Hmm.
So we can't run away from it. It may look, sound, be expressed a little bit differently, but the element of that trickster energy Even if you don't want to watch a comedian, trust me, there'll be somebody in your life that will represent that trickster energy. It could be your boss. And if you are a loner, maybe you don't have a lot of people around you, sometimes other informations, ancestor energy, or spirits might try to give you that medicine. I don't want to receive it that way, to be quite honest, because trust me and believe me, there is trickster medicine that will come out and get you. And
Mhm.
something that I appreciate about comedians is that sometimes in their shock factor, that it's that shock factor that awakens someone to something. If it hits, if it pings, don't blame that person. Reverse it and take a time out to examine why it's pinging.
Right. Why did it ping?
It's usually your body sending you a message. um yeah, maybe that person was out of line, or maybe it pinged you because there's some truth to it that you may not have been ready to see. And this is why that trickster energy will always be valuable, while you will always have um maybe people who hold the highest titles in the land. They will always have someone that fills that capacity, might just be
Mhm.
called different things, because or people may not give, and maybe this is not all comedians, but comedians are great observers of life, of people.
Mhm.
They spend a whole lot of time people watching,
And also very internal too.
and some of them can be extremely empathic. They can look at you and read a person, because as human beings, we give off so many tells and ticks. And someone who spends just their time observing, and if then coupled with a sixth sense edge, empathic, oh, then you are that person. I can see why that person can be almost scary to have in front of you. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like being picked on when I go to a comedy show.
Me neither. I don't think nobody likes that.
I
Get
don't want
called
that
out.
reverse
Ooh.
spotlight. But
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
we still like to go to those comedy clubs and take the chance.
Because we can laugh.
We gotta laugh.
And that is worth it.
Hmm.
Because laughter is medicine.
Laughter's medicine, is healing for the soul, and is heart healthy.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mind, body, and soul.
You see, most adults don't do a lot of laughter,
No.
and a lot of the stuff that's out there is doesn't really generate organic
Mm-mm.
giggles. And sometimes we do need those bold, maybe crass, edgy comedians that will say something so shocking to your system that your body produces laughter. And maybe it's not necessarily because you really thought it was funny. It's more like my sister said, your body's experiencing a release of something that has been held in, and that particular frequency, which came in words and it came dressed as a joke, was the medicine that you needed to heal. So don't knock somebody laughing. Now,
Mhm.
if you trip and somebody's laughing at you, to me that's a little bit different.
Yeah, even though that happens a lot.
That happens a lot.
I've been in there in that position many times.
Right. But we're not talking about that. We're just talking about just people observing things, hearing jokes, and just having a response.
And you know what, fam? Like, let's just like, to piggyback a little bit on your point of adults, we just don't laugh enough. Like, why we go through our kid stage, we go through our teen stage, we laugh, 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 laugh. Everything's funny. We, what Spanish people call tan en la pavera. Ah, tan en
Uh-huh.
la pavera.
Everything's a
Like,
funny
you
joke.
cannot the whole world, everything's, you cannot look at something that's not funny. But for whatever reason, we get to a certain point, and it's almost like we stop laughing less, we start to be too serious, we start to bunch and bunch and bunch
Bunch.
everything we're watching, everything we're hearing. The bochinche tends to be more negative, be heavy, and again it's leading to less laughter and less laughter. Like not for
And more
nothing,
sourness.
there's literally like an epidemic in this world of
Of
people
sourness.
and being sour, people being too bunched up, and people not laughing enough. And I feel like if there's one message that you get from us today is fam, we gotta laugh
Laugh.
more.
Have more chuckles.
We gotta laugh more. Find what floats your boat and laugh. You need it in mind, body, soul. Like it is
That's right.
self love, self care. You know.
That's right. So let's share a couple of little videos, and to just share, let's introduce you to Tyler Fishcer, and this is him making an observation through his joke about President Biden. Okay, let me go over here. Dios mío, this is what happens when you're in real time.
El presidente Biden.
All right, let's see.
He gets lost on stage. He'll always start out yelling too. You know what I mean? He'll yell and then he'll whisper like the most important part of the speech. We're like, look, folks. Look. Where are we going here? It's not a joke. Look, folks. You like back better. It's not a joke. Not a joke. Look, folks. You don't think? Bro back better. First, you're gonna stop. Oh, it's dog-faced pony soldier here. Look at you talking to that jack, not joking around, laughing at this. It's serious. It's got serious. Bro back better, but first you're gonna stop. Systematic racism. I wrote the damn bill, $800 trillion billion. Garage, 1954. I bring my garage. Carry me. You know the thing. Here we go, Jack. That's the good stuff. That's the good stuff.
So that was an example of Tyler Fishcer. And I think he does a pretty good impression of Biden. There are many real clips of President Biden getting lost on stage. There's this great famous clip. I have shared it on Cafecito Break many times where there's like this huge lead up production. They show the president walking and walking.
Ay,
It
Dios
just
mío.
seems like it almost seems like he's walking through a bridge, then he's walking through this other little passage, and then he's walking through this other scene. And then now is the final stretch. And all he has to do is walk to the podium. That's all he has to do the entire time. He's been
Oops.
doing great through all of these different scenes. And then he goes, walks to the podium, and as soon as he gets right there, he just starts going this way.
You had one job.
he just
One
he
job.
did he did pretty good most of the way.
Almost. He.
Mi gente, so you know, we have a new president.
We do.
We do.
It will be official in a few weeks.
Yeah, and we before he got to ay Dios míos, before he got to election day, he went to Madison Square Garden in New York City.
So we had to go be a part of that. Bueno.
Why
because-
not? How we're not going to be a part of a historical event? You got to do the mathematica. Like he's probably we already knew, we read the tea leaves. He was probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Most people were going to vote for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to be in New York City. We had to be there. That's history, baby. And he was not the only incentive. You had Dr. Phil there. You had Robert F. Kennedy Jr. there. You had
Tulsi.
You had David Rem, who's one of our friends, and oh my
I'm
god,
so proud of him.
he gave
Shout out to David.
one of the bestest. It was one of the bestest moments of that. You know, it's really interesting because that was, I think, one of the best moments of the entire thing. Even, you know, he's a man that we know who's an activist, who's a father, and he loves Donald Trump. He has so much love for his family because uh, when he was growing up, it was Donald Trump's father who paid for a scholarship for him and I believe his siblings
Hmm.
to finish out their academic. And his mother was, I guess a single mom at that
After
point.
they lost their dad,
Yeah,
yeah.
they lost their father, and so now you have the mom with the children. And you know as the story goes, it was President Trump's father who learned about their story and paid for their education. To imagine, like, here we are roaming the streets and getting uh firsthand knowledge. I mean, we've recorded him telling this story, and he finally says it, and it gets to the right audience, and he finally gets to meet his dream, and a dream in which he was carrying forth of his own mother who had recently passed away.
Hmm.
His mother wanted to have the opportunity to shake the Trump's hand to say thank you to for what his legacy and what generosity. You know, David has a daughter who is in college right now. So things keep going forward when you nourish someone, or someone out of the blue who you don't even know comes out and supports you and helps you. It's beautiful to say thank you. And here we saw this man, for the last couple of years that we've known him, he had this vision and he made it happen. So
He
then that day
did.
that we're all in Madison Square Garden, we're thinking that's going to be the big story, because he even held out this beautiful cross invoking Jesus in Madison Square
It
Garden.
was very it's a very full circle moment,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely for us just knowing him,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, even, yes, we were excited to hear a lot of people come up and speak that day, that evening, but that one was intimate because we've known him, and this is a man, mi gente, that outside of his personal story, he has been working hard as an activist for New
Yeah.
York. So again, another one of those, in my opinion, unsung heroes that people may or may not know, or may never know, or may, I don't know, but that has already done, and for many years now, so much work for us New Yorkers. And I have a lot of gratitude for him, and I know my sister does, and a lot of respect. And so to see him have this full circle moment, and to know what it means to him, was a very beautiful experience. It was just an evening of a lot of beautiful moments.
A lot
Um,
of full circle
yeah,
moments. For us, it was significant because we got cancel cultured immediately just by questioning these situations.
that
And
situation.
community members, both in the media,
Mm-mm-mm.
both our friends, family, colleagues, they to this day lumped us in with being just an assumed Trump supporter. And they didn't realize that most of the time we were paying attention to Trump, but we were really kind of supporting RFK Jr. and paying attention to his movements, right? And that day, we got to meet the CEO of Goya, which was another full circle moment for us. And we've told you, because we I stirred up a whole bunch of people when I called out Trump derangement syndrome, when socialists were urging community members to throw out Goya cans during a pandemic.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
It was
Throwing out
ridiculous.
food.
Throwing out food. And my point is that for us, and I still stand, the fact that Trump went to Madison Square Garden, where everybody who might know of, as a political strategy, is like, why would you even go there? You don't even New York is not voting for you. You're not going to flip New York City. But I think it was significant, and it was significant for us because all of us, from Trump down to boots on the ground, small businesses, comedians, people who said no, whether we were direct Trump supporters or not, our livelihoods have all been impacted. And this is one of the reasons we've spent time talking about, you know, comedians, talking about Tyler Fishcer, giving him a love shout and commending him for his bravery and boldness in
Mm-hmm.
ways that I don't even dare express myself. We're about to show you the video that we did outside Madison Square Garden because there was a comedian there at Madison Square Garden. You may have heard, right? And the funny thing is that at that moment, I was outside the venue. I mean, I was inside the venue, but I was outside getting some coffee, and my sister heard the joke. I got a little bit of a clue of what that joke was, but we weren't really thinking about it. It was just like I asked my sister how it was. I didn't know until like later who the person was that said the joke, which happens to be another comedian that is on my top 5 of comedians that I really like. Again, that doesn't mean that you like everything a comedian says or does, just like
Mm-mm.
a lot of people don't like everything that we do or say. That's okay.
Listen,
That is totally okay.
my honest words to my sister when she got back to the seat was, the comedian came. I didn't love his whole thing.
That's all she told me.
I literally was like, I didn't think it
She
was
didn't give me
funny.
much juice.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't think it was funny. He made a joke about Puerto Rico. I didn't like it. His delivery, and that's it. Then we moved on. It was just like
This
moved
is
on to the
all the
next thing.
information I knew.
I wasn't affected by it because I just, like I said, I love jokes. I love when they hit. I didn't feel like it was a good flow, and I didn't personally enjoy the joke either. So I was just like, but I let it go. I'm moving on to the next thing because there was so much going on. I think what a lot of people don't realize that weren't there is that one of the things people love is the community, spending time with the community and the people you meet.
It
And
felt like a big celebration.
we cannot not point out that along with all the people we do know that were there in different parts doing different
There were a
things,
bunch of people all
a
around the
bunch
perimeter that
that
we
we
knew.
have so much respect and love for. There were so many people that we meet from all walks of life that at the end of the day, by heart, are pure New Yorkers or just pure America loving folks, community folks. Like, I have to say,
Activists.
my sister and I have never been in any one of these environments where we have felt unsafe, disrespected, or unhappy. It's always been a lot of fun, a lot of love. And mi gente, we'd like to also note that in a sea of Make America Great Again hats and colors and black, white, blue, and red outfits and everything that we saw all forms of expression that day, my sister and I were not wearing any of those things.
We have proof in case you don't believe us,
Mhm.
which is why it was almost like God set this up to be the most perfect thing. Because then on the outside, there was a content creator that we know. He's been on my show, we've been on his. He was doing a live stream right outside MSG. Now, this is the bochinche. I did not know that he was live streaming. I don't think my sister knew. Because guess what? We're just getting out of Madison Square Garden and I'm coming out from a high. I'm feeling real good. Why? Because we just met the CEO of Goya. I'm like, I couldn't believe that. And we took a picture with him.
And we had hours of sitting in Madison Square Garden listening to a lot of people speak, fam. And then on top of that, hours of waiting and socializing.
So we were there
It's
since
a long day.
We got there, I don't know what time.
Like, it was really early.
7-ish in the
maybe?
morning.
Yeah.
We're spilling out of Madison Square Garden. Was it after 8?
Yeah, I think so. 100% had to be after 8.
It has to be after 8.
It was definitely late.
So we're tired, but we're also charged up from what felt like a New Year's celebration.
We've had a blast.
And it felt like it felt like a celebration for all of the efforts and the really tough years that many of us have lived through. And to have that moment stolen for all of us because people
They were just looking. They were
just
for
looking
that one thing.
like it's like you
Unfortunately,
couldn't find something, and so you found a comedian, you made his life crazy for a week or so, you called him a speaker, it was all misreported, oh, a speaker says some, and all of it was misreported. So now we're having this cozy, beautiful, what felt like a celebration experience. Now we go through the freaking doghouse of vibration daggers that we had to live through for weeks after that, all because we said we like jokes.
So let's set the stage a little bit. So we come out of Madison Square Garden,
We came out
and we're like, oh, happy. And
hugging, kissing,
we start to see some of the
people
people we know.
taking
So we're like,
pictures.
selfie,
We're
selfie,
doing all these
you know.
selfies. We see Aura Moody,
And so we're like walking and doing that. And that's when we bump into
Lou Valentino, but it was because Aura was like, Lou, you gotta get the girls. And then Lou sees us. And mind you, I'm so innocent because remember, guys, I missed the part where the joke was made. But we're there wearing and rocking our Puerto Rican hats. So for all the criticisms that we get that, oh, look at the girls want to be white, we are Puerto Rican no matter where we go. We just don't have to remind you. We
I
just
know.
gotta be it.
I mean, there we were, if you really think about it, if you're gonna believe the hype of, white supremacist crowds,
That we were looking like little two
there we
beans.
were, the two caramels wearing Puerto Rico. I mean, if we felt so unsafe, we would have never been in that crowd. And on top of it, wearing a hat.
And
a
look,
Puerto
these
Rican
were the
hat.
most ridiculous because like it can't you if you don't know what we are, these hats tell you. So then now I know in hindsight when Aura Moody signals to Lou, oh, you got to interview the girls. And then Lou sees us. He goes, oh my God, they'll be perfect. And I'm like, why would we be perfect?
And then that's when we're like,
then everything comes together 24
really
hours
quickly,
later.
literally within seconds. He's like, it'll be perfect. And then all of a sudden we're on this live.
Okay, so let's show you. I don't know the tea because I haven't caught up with Lou to know, but Lou was on a live stream, and then 24 hours later, this clip was clipped by I think it's Be Easy Tweets. George is the handle on Twitter, and the next day there's over 2 million people that have seen our little faces.
Yeah. So what you're seeing is just like a small version of the live that we kind of walked into, chatted a little bit.
But it is the clip that went viral because that clip was
Yeah.
extracted and landed on Twitter. This is how quick. So we're here still unwinding from this bubble experience, and we wake up and our little faces have gone viral. That's us. God. All right. Let's go over here. We like
Buddy!
jokes. We like jokes.
We do. And we understand the importance of a comedian having the freedom to push the envelope, because that's always been what has separated comedians from like everyday folks, right? Where they can push the envelope to either make you laugh or make you think or challenge you, right? But
Pero, because obviously we're such
Buddies!
proud Puerto Ricans, I will say that it is not a little floating pile of trash. This beautiful island filled with beautiful people that love the beautiful islands, and it's okay to have different opinions. That's what makes America great, that people could just have different opinions. So you know what? We're not offended. Did we like the joke?
no,
No, I didn't like the joke.
I didn't like
I
the
don't even
joke.
think the crowd, he bombed that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was
think-
funny. Don't get me wrong. At
I
first,
think
I'm like,
the joke
wow, that's
in
crazy.
New York
but-
City maybe was not like in the right landing.
Probably right.
But
Probably
we're
not
I
the
don't know.
best.
right
I have
landing.
mixed emotions.
We like
Buddy!
jokes.
Yeah.
So last time I checked, I think that video had 2.5 million, and who knows where else our little faces have been seen. But we did get a lot of fun comments, including people wishing death upon us.
Very colorful. Some were very colorful.
Some people wanted us to, and then some people came up with ideas of how they thought that we should, meet our maker.
Yeah.
And wow, what does that say? That's just really
Sometimes humanity gives you examples of really worrying you.
very worrisome.
I mean, the fact that folks would, wish anyone any harm because you hear something that bothered you or that you disagreed with.
Hmm.
Um,
We even have community members that know us who were politely trying to course correct us, give us little messages.
and some that weren't politely letting us know how they felt.
And some
So
people excommunicated themselves for good from our lives because of that. So this has real world consequences.
mhm.
I don't think what we said in that video was bad. If anything, I look at us and I'm proud of us because we are who we are. Like, it's one thing if you see us in these different settings and then you see us being a chameleon. And sometimes, look, sometimes it might look like we're being a chameleon because guess what? I'm not
Excuse
going to
me.
be walking around with a hat on if I'm in a, let's say, black tie affair, right? Or I'm not going to be cursing if
Mhm.
I find myself in a church setting.
Time and place,
There's a time
you
and place
know.
for everything. Um, but it's disheartening. It's disheartening to me that we live for our gente. Everything we do always carries the seeds of our culture wherever we go, wherever we are. It doesn't matter if we are in a room full of billionaires, and that has happened.
Mhm.
So, people, how come no one, not one person, looked at those two girls and said, wow, if I'm really to believe that this is a sea of white supremacists,
Then them girls are just real brave.
and those girls are really authentic, and those girls must really love being Puerto Rican,
And they must have some bolas.
and all of those things are true.
Hmm.
They're all true.
They're kind of all true. It's
And part
true.
of that is, to wrap this up, I think that's ultimately one of the reasons, that's ultimately another reason why I appreciate comedians, is that just like the comedian that said this joke and it twisted everybody's panties and bunched them up,
Major bunches.
he stood his ground and he didn't yield to the the mob, and he didn't yield to the people coercing him to, to apologize. And that doesn't mean that he didn't have consequences. He did have consequences. You can hear him in different clips saying, you know what, perhaps I didn't, I'm paraphrasing, and maybe that was not the right setting for that joke, right? And so you can have that awareness and still say, but I'm not going to yield to the mob who wants me to just apologize because they didn't even understand the joke and they weren't even there to hear it, you know and again, like my sister says, comedians sometimes will communicate in with words, but they're talking about different things. So maybe he wasn't talking about Puerto Ricans being garbage. Maybe he was really referring to the problems that we have there,
Literal.
like literal garbage landfill problems that news reports have been reporting for years.
Also, there's a lot of garbage politicians in PR. Like, you could
Yes,
go
there's a
many
lot of
ways with
different ways
this
to go
because, mi
there.
gente, the one way you cannot go is really believing that Puerto Rican folks are garbage because Puerto Rican folks, listen, we come in all colors, all
We're some
expressions,
of the most beautiful
and
human
all
beings on this
spices,
planet.
but we are some of the most caramel folks
I
that you
love me
will
Puerto
meet.
Ricans.
And so, yeah, there's just a
Can
honey
you
to
tell?
there's a honey to us. Okay, can you tell we
Well,
we
listen,
love our
if I wasn't
peoples?
afraid of tattoos, I would have all these different versions of Puerto Rican flags on my body.
And so, make America, make comedy funny again. This is our real live and in living color full circle moment with this message. I
Hmm.
mean, yet it's something we've always believed
Absolutely.
and supported and defended, but yet lo and behold, we would have had this major moment with this particular example. And so, yeah, when we wear these hats, when we respect these comedians, when we say go support comedians, when we say to you, just laugh, just learn to unbunch, hey,
Learn to unbunch, and it's
full
okay.
circle, it's fine.
We're not criticizing you. I'm letting you know I've come from a journey of unbunching, and I'm still having to do it because I have such a forward. I have to work, and go, 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 go. And it is my sister who's always reminding me to relax. And all the beautiful community members that I have in my life, relax and enjoy, which is why this aspect of my life, the part in which I love to share laughter yoga, um, and parodies. That's how
That's
I'm
your
able
expression.
to
Yeah.
feed my creativity, this art form that comes from God. That is my way of trying to penetrate the algorithm to get a message across that sometimes cannot get across when we're speaking and really going and diving deep in a long conversation like this. Sometimes a joke can, or like a song or parody, something that is in a different art form or different packaging, can land that much quicker and create the effect that a whole program, analytical series won't do.
Yeah, because it interrupts the algorithm that you're surrounded by. So something, you know, and there you go.
You get jolted.
All of a sudden, it's done.
So deep bow to all the comedians that are out there that keep on going, and thank you for all the laughs that you bring to us. And because you have, especially throughout these years of COVID and when things have gotten so dark in the world, um, this is where I've taken a lot of time in my spare time to just
Mhm.
laugh, and
It has
we
been
need
definitely
we
one
need
of
to
the
laugh more.
tools in our toolbox that has helped us. If you just want to talk about the last few years, that has helped us release and navigate the last few years is just to simply laugh.
To
So,
simply laugh. So, thank you for watching our latest spicy spirituality. Please,
episode 2.
episode 2, and please comment below. Let us know, if you dare, who your favorite comedians are or what you appreciate about comedians. And thank you again for your comments. Please subscribe. Please share.
Like,
Sharing is kindness.
like and comment, fam, because we love and appreciate it, and it energizes all of our algorithms. And it, we really love when you share.
And community members, we have lots of goals. And so if you want to help our production energizing, we will accept gratitude donations for our work. We are 100% independent, and we are here for community wellness. Ooh, bye, community. Thank you
Ciao.
for being here with the sisters. We love you.